What is up? What is up? What is up? This is your boy Warren G in the place to be. Been clown free and sucker free since 2003. What is going on, people? I know I'm a little late today. I'm trying to get this on time. Shit, I be working on other shit, trying to come up with topics and making sure I know what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyway, this is the Knowledge Free Podcast. It really ain't free because you got to pay for internet. You got to pay for a phone bill. So let's just keep that a buck. This is the Knowledge is Free. Come get you some game while you can. How was your day today? You know I always got to start off by saying to all you people that's listening on SoundCloud, I work for corporate America too. I call it the corporate plantation. You can't front. And just to send a quick shout out to the homegirl, Shawnee Brown, that she be in the chat room. Whenever you get a chance to listen or watch this on YouTube, hey, much love and respect. She always be dropping jewels in the chat room. And you know what I'm saying? And there's some things I'm going to address to make sure that we all on the same page. But this is a Knowledge Free Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate you. If you listen on SoundCloud, I appreciate you. I hope I fuck up your day like my day is fucked up. But anyway, let's get right into it. For all of you who are not familiar with Killer Mike, whatever. Man, he's a really good underground hip hop lyricist. And he's from the country, but he got great lyrics. But anyway, he's got this show on Netflix. It's called Trigger Warning. And it's a good. At first, I was kind of like, man, what is he doing? And then when I really got a chance to kind of think about it, I was like, maybe it's just his way of bringing awareness. But I'll tell you this, and let's just get into it. I'm gonna get into it right away. Fuck all the bullshit. I ain't on here selling shit or anything like that. We're gonna get right into it. For all y'all who didn't catch her, what school you send your kids to? The education comes from the home. And he was just pointing out things like Martin Luther King went to a regular public high school, and can't no nigga say they was as smart as Martin Luther King. He was just breaking down game and giving his perspective. And I agree with a lot of the shit that he was saying. And him and DJ Envy, you know, they kind of go back and forth. And I see DJ Envy's point like, hey, man, I make a little bit more money. You know, I want to send my kids to private school because they're teaching those kids to be millionaires. Okay, we about to get right into it. I got love for The Breakfast Club. I got love for Charlamagne the God and Angela Yee and all them. Hey, that's a major platform, and it's not about dissing them. Now, here's my perspective. DJ Envy, all you niggas, you entrepreneur niggas that make this money and doing your thing, let me remind you, like I said on the last podcast, if you ain't catch it, about Jesse Smollett and the Empire guy and all this, you still black at the end of the day, and you are allowed to do certain things. So once you start getting in a different tax bracket and you start making all this money doing this, you are allowed to do that. Remember, how many times I gotta tell you, Wesley Snipes was great until he started teaching people about the Moorish science and about sovereignty, about ejecting yourself from the system. And what they say, oh, nigga, you owe taxes. Guilty, nigga. So for all y'all that don't know, I'm going to give y'all the other perspective. Everybody is not going to be a millionaire. That's a fucking fact. Capitalism is not built on everybody being a goddamn millionaire. Again, y'all need to go check out Tone Talks on YouTube. He breaks down the wealth gap, the racial wealth gap, and 90% of the nation's wealth is held in the hands of Caucasians. 2.6% of that wealth is held in the hands of black people. And out of that 2.6%, 2% of that is held in the hands of boomers, and 0.6% is Oprah, Michael Jordan, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, and all the rest of them. But we make up 12% of the population. So what does that tell you? Every motherfucker ain't gonna be no millionaire. I don't give a fuck what school you sent them to. Everyone's not gonna be no millionaire. It's about training and telling and teaching your kids from the jump what it's about. I like Dame Dash's approach. Fuck sending your kids to college. You gonna pay them $60,000 to tell your kid how to run a business when you're a business owner? You teach your kids your own fucking knowledge and you start your own motherfucking school. See, that's the problem. And it's no diss. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with public school or nothing like that. It's no diss. But here's the only issue I have. That us black folk think that the white man's ice is that cold. Well, we got to send our kids to public school. No, these are things that you should be teaching your kids. I don't give a fuck how much private schooling your kid has. If your kid ain't got this book, then he don't know what the fuck, he don't know what life is about. If your kid don't have this book, an etymology dictionary, so they can know what the fuck the words really mean and the origins of the words, I don't know what to tell you. Need I go on? If your kids don't have this book, The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor William, or They Came Before Columbus by Ivan Van Sertima, then your kid just gonna be another kid trying to be a millionaire and chase the dream in the Matrix, which is the system of white supremacy, which is their system. So that's a fact. See, sometimes you gotta think, are you going to be one of those type of people that you think that you're an elitist because you can afford to send your kids to private school? All those who live in Las Vegas, I remember I met a bitch that worked at the Corbin Plantation that was like, oh, my kid goes to Gorman. Bitch, you work at a cubicle. Bitch, you probably using the majority of your paycheck to send your kid to Gorman for him not to be a motherfucking thing. But motherfuckers just love that prestige of sending their kid to Bishop Gorman. Now, if your kid plays sport and you want your kid to go to the NCAA and all this other shit, okay, fine. Send your kid to Gorman. Send him to Findlay Prep. Do all these things. I get it, whatever. But when you start thinking your kids are better because they go to a private school, we gonna see. Because last time I checked, the money moves that Nas is making, he ain't going to no motherfucking school. See, what it is it's who you up under. I'm going to tell you that right now. Who you up under and who is educating you. If the right person, if you get up under the right, okay, fuck all this. Let me tell you something. I was up under people that was teaching me game. I was up under people that already bought houses, sold them, bought them again. So they was giving me the real game on buying real estate and what you're gonna go through and what a salesperson is gonna do, a broker, a real estate agent gonna do. You know what I mean? Was I half-ass listening to it? Yeah. Because I just wanted to go get a crib, just wanted to go do it. I didn't want to really pay attention the way I should have been paying attention. Because a lot of the things that I was told, it came to fruition after the purchase of the real estate. You know what I mean? It just depends on who you up under. There's nothing wrong with education. I think every kid should try to go figure out if they want to get the European degree or you want to get a trade. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I call it the European degree is because they're the ones who validate that piece of paper to place you in a situation where you can get a what? A good job. Facts. And I got love for all my brothers and sisters that got degrees, that don't look down on the next nigga. It inspires me to just be a better person. I've worked around sisters that had 2 degrees, and let me tell you, I didn't even know they had degrees. I didn't even know they had degrees, and they was like, yeah, Warren, I got 2 degrees. I'm like, damn. I love the humbleness in my people when they have education, because what it does to me is just like, yeah, I got 2 degrees. Like, yeah, I got in a system and ran rings around them and got the fuck out. That's what I take it as, and I love it. So much power and respect to everybody that has degrees. Look, degrees are like passports. So you know, to have options, you got to have that paperwork. So there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't want my people, melanated people, thinking because they kids go to a private school and they're being set up in a different way that somehow they're going to be better than everybody else. You better ask Dr. Dre when somebody called the police on him and the police put him in handcuffs in his own driveway. Ooh, forgot about that, huh? And this is the guy that just got $1 billion deal from Apple because of those goddamn headphones. So we need to understand what it is and what it's about. It doesn't matter how much money you have, you still a nigga at the end of the day. And your kids are no better than the next nigga's kids. Some kids are less fortunate than others. Some kids are more hungry than others. That's fine. Everybody's different. But it's all about education. Self-education. And what you don't know, go get around people that do know that shit so you can put your kids up on game. Because a lot of these kids are going to these private schools. And let me tell you what these private schools are doing. Teaching them information systems, which is good, but they're not teaching them about who they are. They're not teaching them who the fuck where they come from. Oh, and my bad, they're not teaching them that you're descendants of the Moors who ruled the world. Right. Man, I'm so mad that I just now started finding out about the Moors about 6 years ago. 6, 7 years ago, I started finding out about the Moors and what they did in Europe and how they were responsible for education and all this other shit. It's like, how the fuck am I just now finding it? Because ain't no college and ain't no school gonna teach you that. Unless you probably go to a historically black college and the professor wants to put you up on game. Now, you'll probably learn it there, but how many of us melanated brothers and sisters could afford to go to Hampton or Howard or Spelman or Morehouse? Let's keep it a buck, y'all. It ain't like these colleges cost $1,000 a semester. Shit, these motherfucking historically black colleges cost just as much as the regular Caucasian ones do. And I understand that. You got to keep the doors open and all that, but let's remember these historically black colleges were founded on white people's principles. Facts. Just like it was a Caucasian who started the NAACP. I mean, yeah, the NAACP. Not the NCAA, but the NAACP. Just like for all you preachers that's out there preaching the good word, you know, you fall under the, what is it, the 501c3 or 5013c, one of those. Guess who came up with that? A white person. Oh, the Rockefellers. Oh, and under that clause, you can't talk about religion. I mean, you can't use that religion to get people to vote a certain way or do certain things, because then you don't qualify for the non-profit tax credits that you get and tax breaks. See, there's a lot of shit that motherfuckers don't know. I don't claim to know a motherfucking thing, but I question every goddamn thing. And for all you people that have degrees, look, I met a lot of people with degrees, very intelligent people. But let me tell you this, I want you with degrees to question everything. Question every fucking thing. You have the paperwork, so you know the ins and outs and the intricate details of the how they code it and codify certain things. Because that's what I just call it a whole bunch of red tape. When you look at a job that's data entry shit, and they be like, you must what this is what really be making me laugh. Look, man, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, this will have me dying laughing. I think jobs, from my perspective, should be based on an algorithm and a energy flow. And when I mean by energy flow, I mean like, can this person learn on the job? Can this person adapt? Would this person be a good fit for the job? And then, okay, you hire that person, and then let's say that person, you know, wants to move up. And let's just say he moves up and he started from the bottom and he moved up and he got the paperwork. Those are the type of people you need to consider to be in positions of management in corporate America. I call it the corporate plantation, but that's what I think. And the reason why I say that is because there are a lot of people with paperwork that don't get they just do either. There's a lot of people that got degrees, and when it comes time for them to move up, they be like, oh, you don't fit the criteria and all this other shit. And these are people that start from the bottom and work their way up. You like, God damn. But they'll hire some motherfucker that don't nobody know and put them in that spot, and they could be a total clown and don't know what the fuck they doing. And these are the people that they put in front of you. And that's why I be tripping off of white people. I remember I asked this white dude, I said, does that ever trip you out how white people will run that same game on black people? They'll run it on YouTube. And he's like, nah, because it's expected. You know what I mean? And I said, that's a good perspective. I just really trip out over that shit. Because like I said before, paperwork is supposed to give you a better options and give you a better look at things. But a lot of times they'll hire motherfuckers who they think are considerable for the job, and then you get them on the job and they act like a total fucking clown. So that's why I just be tripping off of, well, you got the education, you got everything, you got the paperwork, but it's still, oh, let's put another roadblock up. I think this is another thing that, you know, I see a lot. I see people that have education and they have it, and they somehow think that they're so ahead of everybody else. And what I'll be laughing off of is, to me, you're ahead of everybody else when you're calling all the shots. You know what I mean? When you calling the shots at that corporate plantation, you making the moves, and ain't nobody bucking up against the system or bucking up against you, and you placing a position of power, and you are fair and balanced, and you're honorable in what you do on that job. That's how I look at it. And if you got the paperwork and you honorable in what you do when you have your degrees and all that, and you don't really trip on people, you just kind of listen to what they saying, you question it, those are the type of people that I really respect. I'm not really one that's going to respect somebody just because they have a degree. And I met a whole lot of them. I remember a motherfucker told me at the corporate plantation I should go sell cars. I was laughing at his motherfucking ass. And if you like, why was you laughing, Warren? I was laughing at his ass. This clown ass, he thought he was so much better than me because he had a degree. This was a long time ago. This is probably about 11, 12 years ago. That motherfucker was like, man, you should just go sell cars. Because you don't have there's no future in what you do here. And I was just like, okay, that's fine. And then he started treating me different when he found out that I was a homeowner. Because in his mind, he didn't think I can go buy a home with what I was, you know, doing at the job. Like, oh, this is a dumb motherfucker. And that's why I look at it, I'm like, hey, man, question everything. And y'all need to check out the Breakfast Club interview with Killer Mike. He was dropping some real shit and just saying, like, we got to be responsible for us, and we got to work with what we have, and we got to define what is, I always say, what is education? There's two types of education. There's education that's with schooling, which, of course, you're going to need that to get a decent job or a good job. And there's also self-education, like what I do. I haven't been on it as much as I have. I'm still reading that numerology book. That book got my head hurting, but there's self-education where you want to know what your history is. You know where you come from. Look, I don't care who get mad. I remember, like I said, I was telling my nephew, I read this book, Stolen Legacy. I forgot the name of the guy, but it's a great book. And he talked about how Pythagoras and Aristotle and Socrates was sneaking over to Africa, which is Egypt. And they were trying to gather and gain knowledge from the initiates, which are the enlightened ones, Africans, who was teaching the liberal arts. And you like, nah, Warren, Pythagoras is responsible for the right triangle. No, he was not. Because if you do your research, Alexander the Greek, not the Great, the Greek, he outlawed that you could not go to Africa and study any of those liberal arts. No science, no math, none of that. No astrology, none of that. No astronomy, you could not study any of that. It was forbidden. You would be thrown in prison. So that's why Aristotle and Socrates and Plato, they were all sneaking over to Africa to learn the liberal arts, which is the science. And if you don't believe me, I have a book that's called Numerology. And in the beginning of the book, they give a lot of praise to Pythagoras. And then they tell you in the very beginning of this book that Pythagoras got it from the enlightened ones in Africa. So that's where he got the right triangle from. Now, let me tell you something. Here's how I define education. So you want to tell me that somebody else is responsible for the right triangle when the pyramids predate Europe? So who was building the pyramids then? It wasn't Caucasians. Come on, man. And then the book clearly states it. And I have other books that say the same thing. And that's why I always hit people over the head with it. I'm be like, oh, y'all was responsible for it? Then okay, if y'all was responsible for it, then why would Alexander the Greek outlaw learning our liberal arts? And I think he was either Socrates, Plato, or Aristotle, one of them, or Pythagoras. One of them got thrown in prison because they got caught sneaking over there to Africa. And then he went with his own, not his own, he went with what he was taught by his initiates in Africa. And what they was taught was you have to go and pay off all your debt before you get out of prison and do all those other things. There were so many things involved in masonry and our liberal arts and our science and our numerology and all these things. I'm telling you, go get the numerology book. They'll tell you where they got it from. Africa. But we don't know that because we so busy trying to tear each other down because we got a degree. No, you got to lift each other up and question everything. I don't care who got a degree. I still question them. Now, you know, as far as working at the corporate plantation and maybe their degree is in information systems, you can't argue with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying this, that for my black people, we have to understand that there's two types of education. And when you're trying to integrate yourself into the system of the dominant society, it's their rules. So stop trying to act like you so much better than the next. I'll be laughing so much. Because like I said before, it was a sister that told me, oh, you need to get a degree. You need to do all this because don't you want to move up? Man, that bitch is still working at a cubicle and she still reporting to somebody that's white with no degree. And I love it. And you like, why would you love it, Warren? Because it just proves my point. It's not your system. Everybody be like, oh, well, no, it's not your system. So you have to understand and compare and contrast the two. Oh, shout out to the chat room. If you don't, Austin Lewis, if you don't question, you are not learning. Once you stop learning, you become the problem with society. You become complacent and become nothing but a fucking clown. Africa was the first look at history. Old Romans and Greeks were always going to Africa. Sphinx pyramids. The Greeks were obsessed with Cleopatra. It wasn't her. It was the tech. Yes, it was. Shout out to the chat. That's some funny shit. But hey, man, we can't say that. See, those are the conversations that we used to have, you know, at the corporate plantation. Those were great conversations. Look, but let me tell you this, though. This is what any black scholar is going to tell you. Any black scholar, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Minister Louis Farrakhan, he was the main one that was like, you better go study those other religions. You better go study the Scientology and study those other religions. Because you can learn from it. You can know what it is. See, that's why motherfuckers can say whatever they want about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But ask him about Scientology. Ask him about Jehovah's Witness, any religion. I bet you he can tell you about it. I bet you can. Hey, what's going on, Chavez Greg? How are you doing, brother? Hey, man, I'm doing good, man. For all y'all that's listening on SoundCloud, hey, I'll be listening. I'll be watching the people in the chat room. They be dropping knowledge, but it's a fact. And one of the things that I learned listening to black scholars, matter of fact, let me just put this out there. It was the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who I had listened to like 7-8 years ago, who was like, y'all need to go do y'all research and see how the Federal Reserve is created and see what the Jews, how smart they were and what they do and what type of plan that they came up with. And I was like, damn, why would he say that? But you know why? Because let me tell you what they put out there about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Oh, he hates the Jews. He's anti-Semitic. He hates all white people and all this other shit. And I be laughing because when you watch his speech, it'd be hella white people in the audience. That's why I be laughing. Because it'd be hella white people in the audience. And if he didn't like white people, then why did he let Alex Jones interview him since he didn't like white people? See, here's the thing. Farrakhan just wants liberation for our people, and he wants what is due to us. That's the difference. And you gotta really listen to what he's saying, because that fucked me up when he was like, y'all need to go study. Study, you need to know how the Federal Reserve was created. Y'all need to know who prints the money. Question all this. Stop just thinking. He broke down the dollar. Man, y'all need to go on there, go on YouTube and check out Farrakhan talking about the dollar. And not just talking about, oh, the white man. No, he broke down the owl. He broke down the web. He broke down the bird and how it has 13 arrows or 30. He broke down the dollar. Man, that shit had me so fucked up when he broke down that dollar. It fucked me up. I was like, God damn. He broke down masonry and how every religion was started by a mason. I don't care if you was Jehovah's Witness, Scientology, Mormon, Church of God in Christ, Baptist, AME. I don't give a fuck what religion. Your religion is originated through a mason. And that's a fact. And these are things that I was kind of like, damn, I didn't know that, or damn. Because everybody will give you this misnomer like, oh, don't listen to Farrakhan. He's this and he's that. And it's not just him. It's other black scholars who's like, y'all need to go study. Okay, you got your degree? Good. Now go get you some books and read about how capitalism works, how the Federal Reserve was able to come into play, how they've been able to monopolize this shit for the last 600 years or 500 years or at least 100 years. Screw it. Let me say something in the chat room. Brian Gumble makes Wayne Brady look like a Malcolm X. That's a fact, man. Let me tell you something. That was a fact what Austin said about Africa. Hey, and let me tell you, chat room, you know they did a picture of Cleopatra and they made her white as a motherfucker. I got this book. And look, this is what really fucked me up. This book, it's like a authentic copy. It's a long book. I'm gonna show it on the next podcast. Y'all gotta remind me. It's called The Ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead. This book was written and it was recorded by white people. They went over to Africa, to Egypt. They went and like did archives and dug through all this shit. They went to like hella different translators to translate the hieroglyphics to Greek. You know what I'm saying? Because the Greeks were the only ones that were able to interpret hieroglyphics because they didn't even really know what the Egyptians were writing, because the Egyptians got it from Kush, which is Ethiopia, whatever. So in the book, it talks about like the translation of things and how the Jesus story, how the letter J is only 900 years old, and the Jesus story was told like 50 million times or 15 different times, and how the Jesus story was taken from Osiris, and how that book is fucking crazy. But it was wrote by white people, and they got the original drawings and paintings of the pharaohs in Egypt, and they're like dark, and they was just basically talking about how they lightened up the fucking paintings to make it look more European, so Greece could have some type of connection to Africa. And these was white people that wrote this book. Great fucking book, man. It's a long, thick ass book, but it's a great book. And it fucked me up. Like, I was scratching my head like, man, what the fuck? And how they was like talking about the transmigration of your soul. And that's why I'm gonna tell y'all something. Like, when they went, according to the book, they went into the pyramids and was like, you know, digging up the mummies. That's why a lot of these movies be having like mummies and all that, trying to make it bad. And when they went to dig up a mummy and they unwrapped it, the mummy's skin was still, the skin tissue was alive 5,000 years later because of how they were embalming the bodies. And this was 5,000 years ago, how fucking smart and how technologically advanced the Africans were. That's why real Caucasians that are out there will tell you straight out, hey, all this shit came from Africa. I remember one of my big OGs, Italian, and then he had one of his Italian buddies. They was from Brooklyn, and they was like, fucking Warren G. Let me fucking tell you, Italy and Sicily is right by fucking Africa. That's why all the Italians are fucking bricklayers and masons and carpenters, because that's where a lot of that shit came from. He was like, matter of fact, 95% of masonry and all that from Italians, they got that from Africans. I said, damn, for real? Because I didn't even really know that, you know, because back then, this was like 10 years ago. You don't really question shit. You just think, I'm going to go to work, give me a good job, and go home and drink some beers and you good. But, you know, as you listen to people, they going to tell you shit. Let me read something from the chat room. You want to start on a smarter place. Most people who are successful read nonfiction book a month. Open your mind. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. And see, here's the thing that tripped me out. If you tell, to me, if I tell, like when I told my nephew about geometry, that fucked him up. He was looking at me like I was crazy at first. He was like, damn, for real? I'm like, yeah, nigga. Pythagoras stole that shit. And people don't even know Alexander the Greek and Pythagoras and the rest of them, they invaded the Library of Alexandria in Africa, in Egypt, and when they stole all the scrolls and all the books that the Africans had wrote all the liberal arts and science in, Alexander the Greek was like, well, you could just name it your shit, Pythagoras. And there's where we get the Pythagorean theorem, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we get that from. So if you don't even know your own history, I don't care what school you send your kids to. They can go to all the private schools they want. They can be a fucking millionaire and you can be a millionaire, but a millionaire without substance, you just an automaton. Because at the end of the spectrum, you better listen to what J. Cole said. He said, I was always striving to get money, always striving to be successful and have this certain car and have all this. And then I got all that. Now I'm empty inside. Lack of knowledge, lack of knowing who you are, lack of self. I'm telling you. I'm looking at the chat room right. Try and tell me Africa wasn't smart. Let me read this. They just don't want black people to believe they had a kingdom and knowledge and power. Let me tell you something. That's when I learned about the Moors. That's why now it's very important for us to have two types of education. Now, if you want to talk about the corporate plantation, I'm your man. I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't your rules. It's their rules. Now, within their rules and their guidelines on the corporate plantation, there's certain rules and guidelines you gotta abide by. Now, don't go in there trying to outshine the master, like in 48 Laws of Power. I got that book. I'm gonna have to read that too. Don't try to be out there outshining everybody. Don't try to be the smartest motherfucker in the room. You gotta wait your turn because you're gonna be predominantly around Caucasians. Now, I'll tell you this, as a black man, there are very confident Caucasian men that they don't give a fuck about none of that shit. They just want to make sure you can do the job, you can do it well, here go your money, you good. Now, there are some Caucasians that are lacking confidence. And I would say about 95 to 97% of Caucasians, you know, it's for some sort of reason when they're around their own, they're around themselves, they're comfortable, and I get that. There's books that say that Caucasians and other races tend to hire people that look like them. I don't trip off shit like that. You know why I don't trip off? Because I'm educated, so I understand it's their rules, it's their game. I'm just talking to the people, especially my melanated brothers and sisters, who go get this education and then they be mad when they don't be the director and they don't be the vice president. I be laughing at them because I be like, well, you got a whole bunch of other white people that you got to stand behind before you get that goddamn job. You would be better off. You would be, shout out to the chat room, you would be better off. Hey, what's happening, my nigga Leo, man? Hey, man, you would be better off. Leo, don't get off. I'm gonna holler at you. You would be better off educating yourself before you integrate yourself into that system because it's not your system. Now, shout out, hey, I gotta send a special shout out to King Leo. That's my nigga right there, man. That's Fam Bam. Leo, man, holler at me, man. I'm on Instagram, man. You see I'm trying to put them beats up. And tell Kaylin and tell DeMarcus, man, come on, man. We gotta get some money, man. But anyway, like I've been saying, it's two types. And I'll keep saying that. And think about it. We don't own no boats, no cars, no cakes, no nothing. That's why when a motherfucker start telling you that black people are racist, black people can't be racist. We don't own no corporations. We don't own no resources. We can't use them to oppress anybody, and it's the competition of resources. And since we don't got any of those motherfuckers, only thing you could do is use some racial slurs, which is empowering Caucasians, if you ask me, because if you call a white boy a cracker, that means he was cracking a whip on slaves. That's what that means. But I'll tell you this. You have to know who you are when you integrate yourself into that system. You got to know who you are and you got to educate yourself and get with people that are like-minded and listen. Because let me tell you something, that same black girl that I'm talking about that told me that I need to go to school and do all this other shit, that bitch is still at a cubicle reporting to somebody, like I said, that's white with no degree. And I know the person she's reporting to personally. And that's a fact. So with that being said, we got to start listening to each other too. I don't trip when I see a Caucasian get a promotion or a raise or be a supervisor. I don't trip off none of that shit. because it's their system. Only thing that I'm a trip off of is just treat me fair on the plantation. That's it. We ain't gotta be friends. I ain't gotta know all your business. Treat me fair and balanced. Now, do most Caucasians have that sense of direction? Not really. Because in their mind, they're gonna always feel like you are supposed to work harder than the next nigga. And then here's what happens, and that's why I keep showing this book, and I'm gonna keep showing this book. This is Nearly Fuller Jr.'s book. Y'all need to go copy. And the reason why I keep showing this book is because it will give you a code of conduct on how you need to conduct yourself around other races. I'm about to read something in the chat again. Don't let Chick-fil-A trick you also. They are happy and proud and super nice employees, but they still keep the black man in the back frying the chicken, not in the drive-thru serving the food. Oh man, Austin Lewis' name rhymes with bus prob. Let me tell you something, and I'll tell you this. Of course they gonna be happy. You representing the job. See, here's the thing. I could be a cold ass MACD. I could be a cold ass guy. I don't care if you do got a degree. You can have a degree, especially if you black. That don't necessarily mean you finna get a director. And I see so many Caucasians that may have a degree and probably deserve the spot because they bust their ass. But you know what it is? I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna just be totally honest with y'all. When I look at it from black person perspective, when Caucasians don't get that raise, that's because those Caucasians are confident and they too real. And they probably fair and balanced, and they probably not gonna treat niggas like shit. They gonna probably treat black people equal. And that's a lot of times I feel like why they don't move up. That's a fact. That's just a fact. If that Caucasian shares a commonality with a black person and they not with that fuckery and that racist shit, I'm just saying, it's not many of them, but if that Caucasian is like that, where there's a woman or a man and they not with that racist shit, and they'll tell you straight out, look man, I ain't with that shit. See, they're going against the code. And when white people go against that code, the dominant society, the system of white supremacy, they're the ones that end up getting fucked over. And it take a real confident Caucasian to be like, fuck it then, I just won't have the job. Fuck y'all. I'm not finna be treating black people like that just because a lot of the times when Caucasians get into a position of power, they don't necessarily bully niggas around and do all that, but they just look at you a certain way and they expect you to work harder than everybody else. And then when you do work harder than everybody else, they use you as the token nigga to tell all the other niggas, see, look at Tyrone. He works so hard. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh, and let me tell you something. The system of white supremacy can't stand when there's blacks and other races that get along on the job. Oh, Lord Jesus. They'll look at you and be like, oh, you're influencing them. You did some voodoo or some shit. The reason why they all getting along. It's a fact. I'll read from the chat room. When I see a homeless white person, I'm like, damn, what a waste of white skin. Hey, that's what D.L. Hughley said. Look, I'm going to tell y'all right now. Most people don't understand that because they're not looking at it from our perspective. But I'm looking at it from our perspective. When I see a lot of homeless white, let me tell you something. Go down there to Las Vegas Boulevard Owens. I'm down there a lot. Shout out to my homegirl Nuke. She's down there a lot. Them white people will tell you, man, I was a drug addict. That's how I fucked up. I was a drug addict, or I used to gamble. That's how I fucked up. Or I cheated on my wife and I was a drug addict, some shit like that. A lot of them had great jobs and they keep it a buck. I'll give them that. They keep it a motherfucking buck. But if they were to shave and take a shower, they could be your boss tomorrow. And that's a fucking fact. That's funny as fuck. Yeah, when you corrupted the MTHC. A couple of clowns. Let me tell you something. And I'll keep saying this, man. When you get around people that they may be white, they may be different, but if you confident, hey, like Corey Holcomb say, that's some shit. look, y'all need to go check out Corey Holcomb. That's some real shit. Because I've experienced it myself. I've experienced it my motherfucking self. If you confident, like I said, I said it on the last podcast, there was a lady, she was white, she was Caucasian. She pulled me to the side. She told me, she was like, this is when I first started working at the corporate plantation. She was like, look, you young, you got charisma, you handsome. She said, and you black. And a lot of these white people are not gonna like that. And I'm not even supposed to be telling you this because I could probably get in trouble, but oh well, I'm just letting you know that right now. You're gonna have a lot of hurdles to jump through. A lot of people are not gonna like your attitude because you smiling, you uplifting, you don't look at life like everybody else. A lot of they're not gonna like it, and they're really not gonna like it because you're black. And she was white, and I didn't even know what the fuck to think. It fucked me up. I was like, damn. Well, was she telling me that to tear me away from the job, or what the fuck? And then the next time she sat me down, she was like, I'm telling you that because I don't want you to be disappointed. I don't want you to be upset. I don't want you to get upset and get pissed off because somebody said something smart to you or are treating you a certain way. And I had to give her props for that. And that was a fact. That was a fact. And let me tell you something. After that, I did start looking at a lot of people different. Because I was like, damn, this lady is white. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't like I ain't had that before, but, you know, she wasn't no, I'll tell y'all like this. She wasn't no peon at the corporate plantation. She was a big boss. A very big boss there. You know, like, you know, we all got bosses, but she was a big boss. And for her to do that, and I'm at the bottom of the bottom, you know, she was like, letting me know. She was like, look, man, I'm telling you, this is how they gonna do you. You know, woo. Just watch yourself. Watch. Some people ain't gonna like your energy because your energy is positive and they want you to be negative. I remember one time she even said, she was like, they just think she said a lot of these white people that work here think the average black person is a thug, ain't striving to do better for themselves, and they just hang out and gangbang all day. She was like, that's what a lot of these white people think. And I was like, damn, for real? And she was like, yep, and we laughed about it. Because she was like one of the only people that knew I worked 2 jobs. And you know what? God damn it, this is a fact, and I'm standing on it right now. I want y'all to listen to me and listen to me good, everybody. When a lot of those Caucasians knew I was working 2 jobs at that corporate plantation, that would fuck them up because they would see me at my second job and be like, damn, you work 2 jobs? And it would literally fuck them up like, damn. They'd be scratching their head. But then there was some confident Caucasians that would be like, hey, man, Warren, man, what's going on, man? How long you been working here? Okay, cool, that's good, man. So how you liking the other job as well? Those are the confident ones. Those are not the ones that's like, oh my God, this nigger's got 2 jobs. Like, no, like they were like, it was nothing to them. And you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference. And that's with all races. Don't just think it's them, man. Them Chinamen, them Korean men. Oh, they really, even if they giving you a negative stereotype about black people, just listen and say, right. I'm looking at the chat room. She need to speak up and write a book. That's a fact. I'm telling you, man, a lot of this shit, it's not hard. It's easy. That's why I know both worlds. I would tell my black people, be entrepreneurs. Work for self, start your business. That's what I'm working on all the time, every day. I got a vision board. I'm always looking at different things where I can start my own little business. Ain't nothing wrong with working for the corporate plantation. I ain't tripping off that. You got to pay your bills. But if you're working at the corporate plantation, use some of that money, if you can, to fund what you really love to do. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. Let me tell you something. I'll tell you this. White people, and I'm gonna let all my niggas know, if you cooning and sambooing, confident Caucasians do not respect you. And that's a motherfucking fact. Because I've been around. If you in there, going in there to the white man who's the supervisor and you telling on another nigga, oh my God. Confident Caucasians, confident white people, man, they don't respect you at all. They do not respect you. That's a fucking fact. If you think, well, let me tell on the next nigga because he's gonna like that, they gonna be like, nah. Because everybody ain't like that. See, we be thinking like, oh, this is what white people want. They want us to throw each other under the bus and all this other shit. Yes, they do. The majority of them do. The system of white supremacy, the dominant society, of course, yes, they do. But everyone ain't like that. You might come across a John Brown descendant, and if you don't know who John Brown is, you can go research that. John Brown was a motherfucker that was like, I'll kill all these motherfucking. John Brown was anti-slavery, anti-white superior, anti-white supremacist. He was anti all that shit. He felt like black people were the gods of the earth and we should not be enslaving them. And if white people were supposed to be Christians, they would not have been enslaving them and beating them and raping them and robbing them. So what John Brown did as a white man said, fuck it. I'm going to get a whole bunch of niggas together and we going to kill all these white people together. Yep. And what happened was, it was a nigga whose name was Hayward Shepherd. You better go get Black Labor by Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. He's the one who told, because he was allotted the time to sit on the front porch and he saw John Brown and them coming. He said, John Brown and them coming. That shit. So you might meet a white person that's like John Brown that's like, I ain't with that shit. Oh, and it's a lot of them out there that's like, I ain't with that. And there are a lot of white people that's like, they just want it to be fair. And that's okay too. If that's what you want to be fair, cool. But my people need to stop expecting other races to fight our fight. It's our fight. I don't expect nobody to fight it, but me and my people. Here, let me read something from the chat. Nail shops are shit talk shops. At least for barber shops, will joke with you and have a great time. Oh yeah, that's a fact. Because at the barbershop I go to, Cut Above downtown, shout out to that barbershop, there be all kinds of white people coming in there. And you know what be so funny when the white people come in there? Maybe I'll be dying laughing. Because when they come in, they be like, hey man, can I get a haircut? You know, my people, we are accepting. We don't care who you are. Yeah, man, I got you next. Sit down. And black people in the barbershop, oh, they're not going to stop talking and kowtow because a white person going to come in, they're going to keep acting who they are. And those white people going to be confident and be like, hey man, appreciate the haircut. I'll be back. That's a fact. That's a fact, man. And that's how it's always, every barbershop I've been, every black barbershop that I've been in, especially in Vegas, it's always white people coming in there too. And they don't be like, oh, you guys are offending me or none of that shit. They sit there and be like, they probably be learning like, oh damn, this is how they really feel. I would like to be in a room when Caucasians know how not around black people and know how they really feel. Now, some Caucasians are confident enough to tell you how they feel, but a majority of them not. They not. Cause I know what they think. Niggas ain't shit, and we ain't nothing but dumb motherfuckers that don't have no education, and we're only good enough to work for them and not with them. That's fine. That doesn't bother me. Because that doesn't validate who I am or make me. I make me. Screw it, Steve Harvey. What you think about Steve Harvey? Man, Steve Harvey made some great, interesting money moves. But Steve Harvey, man, kind of be on some Sambo and shit like Terry Crews. I ain't really with the Sambo shit, man. If you are telling about the gun line boss, a Sambo, a coon, I can't. You need to go to Coons Anonymous and go to Sambo Rehab and purge that shit from your system, because that shit got to go. You know what I'm saying? For real, for real. Hey, man, it's all about magnetizing people around you that are like-minded. I'll tell my people again, I don't need niggas to help fight our war or help fight the black movement. I need black people to fight the black movement. Jesse Smollett, you are black before you are gay. You are black before you're Church of God in Christ. You are black before you Baptist. You are black before you are Mormon. You are black before you Jehovah's Witness. You are black before you are Nation of Islam. You are black before you are Hebrew Israelite. You black first. You know what I'm saying? So the other shit is just a tribal name to go along with it to me. That's a title. But that doesn't define who you are. You define who you are. And are you going to stand to move the forward progress of our people? Because see, here's the thing that black people get that I don't really agree with. And it's this. We want white people to validate everything we say and what we do. And let me tell you what white people look at. From my perspective, white people be looking like, but damn, why don't black people validate what they do and what they say? Like, damn, why don't they validate it? They fucking geniuses. Why don't they validate it? You know how many times I've heard that? Especially when it comes to music. R&B and soul, hip hop, all that. You know how many other races had done said, man, I've had other races say, man, I wish I was black. And I'm like, why? Man, cuz, dude, like, y'all fucking dope. Y'all know how to make real music. I've had them, man, y'all just don't know, man. For real. Everybody know we the gods, but we don't know we the gods. That's a fact. Hey, man, damn, I'm in here fucking around the chat room. I forgot the time. The time that went by. Hey, man, this is the Knowledge is Free podcast. Sorry I was a little late tonight. I appreciate everybody listening. Hit the bell, hit the subscribe button. I'm letting y'all know right now. This channel might not be for you. And if it's not for you, cool. Fuck out of here. But if it is for you, cool. If you trying to bring knowledge, cool. But if you're not agreeing with it, fine, we can talk about it. But it ain't gonna stop me from saying how I feel. That's a fact. This is the Knowledge is Free podcast. I'm your boy Warren G. Hey man, shout out to everybody in the chat room. Leo, my nigga, I got nothing but love for you. Screwhead Austin, hey, appreciate it. Shawnee Brown as well. Hey man, and shout out to Nuke. Hey, and my homegirl Tasha, who used to work on the corporate plantation. If you ever listen to this, hey, I got nothing but love for you. You used to inspire me every day. Hey man, this is Warren G. I'm out. Peace.